My mother took out insurance policies in my name and sabotaged my car to collect the payouts. She wrecked her own life instead. My mother always had money problems. She spent more than she earned and blamed everyone else for her situation. She said the world was unfair to single mothers. She said the system was rigged against people like her. She said she deserved more than what life gave her, and sometimes you had to take what you were owed. I moved out when I was 19 because living with her was exhausting. She borrowed money constantly and never paid it back. She used my birthday checks from relatives before I could cash them. She opened credit cards in my name when I was 17 and maxed them out before I even knew they existed. I spent 2 years fixing my credit score after I discovered what she had done. I thought moving out would create distance from her schemes. I thought she would find someone else to take advantage of. I thought being an adult with my own apartment and my own job would protect me from her manipulation. I was wrong. I bought my first car when I was 22. It was a small sedan that I saved for over 3 years. I paid cash because I did not want debt. I was proud of that car. It represented everything I had worked for on my own, without anyone's help. My mother asked to borrow the car once, and I said no. She asked again a month later, and I said no again. She got angry and said I was selfish. She said after everything she sacrificed for me, I could not even let her use a car for one afternoon. She said I owed her for raising me. She said children were supposed to take care of their parents. I still said no. I should have known she would find another way to get what she wanted. 6 months after I bought the car, I got a call from an insurance company I had never heard of. The woman on the phone said she was following up on my recent claim. She said the adjuster would be out to assess the damage within the week. She asked if the car was still drivable or if I needed a rental. I told her I had no idea what she was talking about. I told her I did not have a policy with their company. I told her I never filed any claim. The woman paused. She said the policy was opened 5 months ago in my name at my mother's address. She said the claim was filed 3 days ago for vandalism damage. She said the payout would be sent to the address on file, which was my mother's house. I asked her to cancel everything immediately. She said she could not cancel a claim that was already in process. She said I would need to speak to their investigations department. She gave me a number and wished me luck. I drove to my mother's house that afternoon. My car was parked in front of her building. I walked around it and saw the damage. Someone had keyed the entire driver's side. Someone had smashed the back window. Someone had slashed 2 tires. The damage was extensive but precise. It looked staged. My mother came outside when she saw me. She did not look surprised. She did not look guilty. She looked annoyed that I was there. She asked what I wanted. I asked her what happened to my car. She said she had no idea. She said she found it like that this morning. She said the neighborhood was dangerous and she told me I should not leave nice things on the street. I asked her why there was an insurance policy in my name at her address. She said she did it to help me. She said I was too young to understand how insurance worked. She said she was just trying to protect my investment since I refused to let her borrow it. She said I should be thanking her instead of accusing her of something. I asked her who damaged the car. She said she already told me she did not know. She said it was probably kids from the building. She said these things happened all the time. She said the insurance would cover everything and I should just be grateful the policy existed. I asked why the payout was going to her address. She said that was just easier for paperwork. She said she would give me the money as soon as it arrived. She said I was making a big deal out of nothing. I did not believe a single word. I called the insurance company back and told them I suspected the claim was not legitimate. I told them I did not open the policy, and I did not authorize anyone to open it on my behalf. I told them the damage looked deliberate, and the person who filed the claim had a history of taking money that did not belong to her. The company opened an investigation. I met Maya Conley 3 days later at the insurance company's downtown office. I brought a folder with every document I had saved about my mother's history. Bank statements showing the birthday checks she deposited into her own account when I was 16, credit card applications from when I was 17 with signatures that looked like mine but weren't quite right, and collection notices that arrived at my apartment 2 years ago when I first discovered what she had done. Maya spread out the fraudulent policy application and held up my real signature from my legitimate auto insurance next to the one on the fraudulent form. The difference was obvious. My actual signature had a specific loop in the capital letter and a certain slant that the fake one completely missed. She circled both signatures and told me this mismatch would strengthen the fraud case considerably. Then Maya opened her laptop and pulled up additional records that made my stomach drop. After I reported the fraud, they contacted other insurance companies and found 2 more policies my mother opened in my name over the past year. Both used my social security number. Both had forged signatures. My mother had researched which companies had the loosest verification checks and spread the policies across different providers so they wouldn't notice each other. Maya calculated the total potential payout if all 3 claims had been approved, over $40,000. My mother had planned to collect that much money by staging 1 incident of car damage and filing claims with 3 separate companies. Maya said this level of planning meant my mother knew exactly what she was doing. She understood it was illegal. She did it anyway because she thought she was smart enough to get away with it. The insurance companies were referring my case to the police for criminal investigation. Detective Matias Palermo called me the next morning. His voice was kind when I answered. He specialized in fraud cases and wanted to meet with me about my mother's insurance scheme. At the station, I explained everything starting with the credit cards my mother opened when I was 17. I told him about the birthday checks and the 2 years I spent fixing my credit score. Detective Palermo took notes and nodded. He said adult children were common victims of parental identity theft. He asked if I was prepared to pursue this case even if it meant my mother could face criminal charges. I said yes without hesitating. Detective Palermo came to see my car the same day. He walked around it slowly, crouching to examine the keyed driver's side. He told me the damage was too uniform. Real vandalism from angry teenagers would have random patterns and different depths. These scratches were all the same depth and followed straight lines. He moved moved to the back window and pointed out that most of the glass fell on the back seat, meaning the window was broken from inside the car. Random vandals would have smashed it from outside. He examined the slashed tires and showed me cut patterns made with a specific type of utility blade. This evidence proved the damage was staged. My phone started ringing that evening. My mother called me 5 times in a row. The voicemails switched between crying and begging me to call her back, then screaming that I was ruining her life, then sobbing apologies, then threatening to come to my apartment. By the next evening, she had called 17 times. I blocked her number after message 17, but she started calling from other numbers. I downloaded them all and sent copies to Detective Palermo like he asked. My Aunt Jacqueline showed up at my apartment 3 days later without warning. She pushed past me into my living room and said my mother was falling apart. She said I was being cruel, that my mother made a mistake out of desperation, that I was vindictive for involving the police. She said family was supposed to protect each other. She said my mother raised me alone and sacrificed everything for me. I asked Jacqueline if my mother told her about the credit cards. I explained how my mother opened them in my name when I was 17 and maxed them out. I told her about the birthday checks my mother stole, the 2 years fixing my credit, the collection calls, the denial letters when I tried to rent my first apartment. Jacqueline went quiet. She sat down on my couch without asking. She said she didn't know about any of that. Finally, she said family should forgive family no matter what. She left without saying goodbye. I consulted with attorney Liam Bradshaw the following week. He reviewed everything and explained the charges my mother could face. Identity theft was a felony. Insurance fraud was a felony. Filing false claims was a felony. The fact that my mother damaged my property added criminal mischief. The total potential prison time was significant. 2 weeks later, Detective Palermo called and asked me to come to the station. His voice sounded excited. In a small conference room, he explained that my mother's landlord had contacted him with security camera footage from the building's parking lot. He turned on the television and the screen showed a grainy black and white view at 3:14 in the morning. I recognized my car parked under a streetlight. My mother walked into frame carrying a set of keys. She was wearing dark clothes and kept looking around. She unlocked my car and reached inside, then pulled out her phone and stared at the screen for almost a minute. She picked up something from the ground and started dragging it along the entire driver's side in long, deliberate strokes. The keying took nearly 10 minutes. She kept stopping to check her phone like she was following instructions. After she finished, she picked up a tire iron and smashed the back window with 3 hard swings. Then she bent down and started slashing the tires. The whole process took 40 minutes. Detective Palermo said this video destroyed any possibility of my mother claiming the damage was real vandalism. The case was extremely strong now. I drove home feeling numb. Over the next few days, I started having trouble sleeping. I kept picturing her face in the video looking around nervously. I started having panic attacks at work. My boss noticed something was wrong and pulled me aside. I broke down and told her a simplified version. She said I could work from home when I had legal meetings. She said my job was secure. Her kindness made me cry harder because it was such a contrast to my family's pressure and guilt trips. I found a therapist named Opal through my company's employee assistance program. The next week, my mother showed up at my workplace during lunch. She started talking loudly as soon as she saw me, saying I was an ungrateful daughter trying to put her in prison over a misunderstanding. Her voice got louder with every sentence. People stopped and stared. Security had to physically escort her out while she screamed that I would regret this. Detective Palermo filed for a restraining order on my behalf. The judge granted it. My mother couldn't contact me or come within 500 feet of my home or workplace. 3 weeks after my mother's arrest, Liam called and told me her public defender wanted to discuss a plea deal. My mother would plead guilty to reduce charges. She would get probation instead of prison time. She would have to pay me back and complete financial counseling. I spent 2 days thinking about it. I said yes. The hearing was scheduled for the following week. I sat in the front row while my mother stood before the judge in an orange jumpsuit. Her hair was greasy and her face looked older than I remembered. The judge read the charges out loud. 3 counts of insurance fraud, 1 count of identity theft, 1 count of criminal mischief. My mother said guilty in a voice so quiet the judge had to ask her to repeat herself. Then she started crying. She turned and looked at me while tears ran down her face. I felt nothing. The judge approved the plea deal. I walked out of the courtroom without looking back. 6 months passed. I set up credit monitoring and opened a new savings account at a different bank. I kept going to therapy every week. Jacqueline sent me a text saying I was being too hard on my mother. I blocked her number. My car got repaired. I changed my phone number and only gave it to people I trusted. I started sleeping through the night again. I grieved the mother I wished I had instead of the one I got. I felt proud that I protected myself when no one else would. My credit was locked down and my money was safe. And I was building a life where nobody got to use me just because we shared DNA.